Now that we've introduced these concepts of efficiency and surplus, let's apply that to an example where we have equations for supply and demand. Remember that demand represents the consumer's reservation price, and supply represents the producer's reservation price. The first step here will be to find the equilibrium price and quantity, and we'll graph supply and demand so that we can label all of the important areas on our graph. So I'll just draw a demand curve here. That's 20 and 20, and then a supply curve 4. We'll set the two equations equal to each other in order to solve for the equilibrium point. And we get Q is equal to 8 and P is equal to 12. Now, how do we think about calculating surplus in this example? Remember that consumer surplus was the area, the difference between the consumer's reservation price and the price that's actually paid, summed up over all of the units that are sold. So in this continuous example, consumer surplus is the area of the triangle between the demand curve and the price, which shows us, right, the value or happiness to consumers in this market. And you probably remember that the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So to find the consumer surplus in this example, we need to just measure the base and height of that triangle. So the height is 20 minus 12, and the base is 8 minus 0, or 8. And so we have 1/2 times 8, which gives me 32. Producer surplus is the difference between the producer's reservation price, which is given by the supply curve, and the amount of money they receive in exchange for the good, summed up over all of the units that are sold. So that's going to be this triangle here between the price and the supply curve. So if I go to calculate producer surplus, it will be 12 minus 4, that's the height of the triangle. And then again, 8 is the length of the triangle, the number of trades. And that once again gives me 32 for producer surplus. Now, in this example, consumer and producer surplus are equal to each other, but that's not always the case. So you shouldn't assume that that's true. Total surplus is the benefit to all groups within society, and you can find that by summing together consumer and producer surplus. You could also find that by finding the area of the big triangle between supply and demand all the way out to the equilibrium quantity. So that would be 1/2 times 20 minus 4 times 8, which of course will also give you 64. Intuitively, the surplus is the difference between the buyer's reservation price and the seller's reservation price. Anytime there are consumers willing to pay more than the cost of producing a product, there are potential gains from trade, and both the consumer and producer can be made better off, and society as a whole is better off as a result of that transaction.